On July 4, 1961, deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean surface, a Soviet submarine drifts dangerously off course. It's not just lost, it's broken. Vital systems are offline, its location is unknown, and nobody from the outside has any idea that inside this metal tube a ticking time bomb is about to explode. It's a nightmare scenario for the US Navy, but it's reality for the men on board the K-19 submarine, and they're running out of time. Inside this claustrophobic vessel, tensions rise as Captain Vladimir Zatov struggles to fix a broken radio, a broken nuclear weapon system, and now a potentially broken nuclear reactor. Failure is not an option. Lives hang in the balance, and with each passing moment, the danger of a devastating explosion grows. But how did things get so bad? We have to go back a few days earlier to June 27, 1961. The K-19, also known as the Psalm K-19, had recently set sail from its home port in the northern Russian city of Severomorsk. Its mission, a top-secret classified operation under the shadow of the Cold War. In the early days of the Cold War, the seas around the world became a battleground between the United States and the Soviet Union. Both sides knew that World War III would be fought with nuclear weapons, and so while people were going about their lives in the 1960s, there was a silent war being waged beneath the waves, a war between submarines. The K-19 was one of the most advanced submarines in the Soviet Navy, armed with deadly nuclear missiles capable of causing unimaginable destruction, as it steamed through the frigid waters of the Barren Sea. Little did those on board know that they were in for the fight of their lives. On June, the K-19 encountered its first major problem, a problem that set in motion a chain of events that would almost end in disaster. The secret underwater telegraph line that the submarine was supposed to be using to communicate with Moscow was down. This wasn't just an inconvenience, it was a critical issue. Without the ability to communicate with Moscow, the K-19 was blind and deaf, unable to receive orders or provide updates on its location and status. As if this wasn't enough, another serious issue soon arose. The submarine's ability to arm its nuclear missiles had failed. This meant that if the K-19 came under attack, it would be unable to defend itself, making it an easy target. This was not what the Soviets wanted for their pride of the fleet submarine. The stakes couldn't be higher, and with each passing moment, the situation grew more dire. But as the crew struggled to repair the damage, a third and even more serious failure emerged. One of the submarine's two nuclear reactors had completely failed. This was a catastrophic event. The reactor was at the heart of the submarine's power plant, and without it, the K-19 risked losing power, plunging it into darkness and leaving the crew at the mercy of the elements. Not only that, but if the reactor failed, the heat generated by the decaying nuclear fuel rods would continue to increase, meaning that the vessel could literally explode from the pressure. And here's the worst part. With the main reactor failing, the backup reactor was activated, and instead of calming the situation, it made things worse. The backup reactor started to overheat, increasing the risk of a meltdown and radiation poisoning for the crew. As the temperature rose, panic began to set in among the crew. The situation was critical and they didn't know what to do. With the submarine's fate hanging in the balance, the burden fell on Captain Zatov to save the day. He knew that he had to do something drastic to prevent the submarine from exploding and taking everyone inside it to their graves. Time was ticking, and every second that passed brought them closer to disaster. So with no other options left, he ordered the crew to reduce the number of nuclear fuel rods in the backup reactor, hoping to lower the heat and prevent a meltdown. But this risky move only made things worse. The submarine started to lose speed, threatening to leave them stranded in the middle of the ocean. To make matters even more difficult, they still had no way to contact Moscow for help. The damaged telegraph line remained a critical issue, and without it, they were effectively on their own. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, another crew member, Volov, discovered something that sent chills down his spine. The backup reactor's steam separator was leaking. This was a critical component of the reactor's cooling system, and if it failed, the already precarious situation could quickly become catastrophic. Volov realized that if the leak wasn't fixed immediately, the reactor could overheat and explode, turning the submarine into a radioactive tomb. Volov was a young sailor with a lot to prove. He knew that this was his chance to show the crew what he was capable of, but as he made his way through the darkened submarine, he soon realized that the situation was far more dire than he had imagined. Every step he took echoed in the eerie silence, amplifying the sense of danger that hung heavy in the air. He made his way to the reactor room, the epicenter of the submarine's power and peril. The room was dimly lit by emergency lights, casting long shadows that danced menacingly in the confined space. As he moved through the labyrinth of pipes and wires, he could feel the heat emanating from the reactor, a constant reminder of the danger that lurked within. Suddenly, his eyes fell on something that made his heart skip a beat. The temperature gauge was red. It was clear that the reactor was overheating and the situation was spiraling out of control. If the temperature continued to rise, the fuel rods could melt down, releasing a deadly cloud of radiation that would engulf the submarine. Volov knew that he had to act fast, but what could he do? He was just a sailor, after all, and the fate of the entire submarine rested on his shoulders. As he raced against time to find a solution, the pressure inside the submarine reached a boiling point. Everyone was on edge, unsure of what would happen next. In the midst of the chaos, Captain Zatov remained calm, issuing orders and trying to restore order to the stricken vessel. But as the minutes ticked by, it became clear that the situation was beyond critical. They needed help, and fast. With the submarine's systems failing one by one, the crew of the K-19 found themselves trapped in a metal coffin hurtling through the depths of the ocean. But then, just when all hope seemed lost, a faint signal crackled through the radio. It was a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the darkness. The search and rescue team had finally located the K-19, and relief was on the way. As the K-19 was pulled from the depths and brought to the surface, the crew could finally breathe a sigh of relief. They had survived the ordeal, but the scars of their experience would stay with them forever. The story of the K-19 is a chilling reminder of the dangers faced by those who serve in the military, especially during the height of the Cold War. It is a testament to their bravery and resilience in the face of danger and the importance of honoring their sacrifice. But it also raises important questions about the cost of war and the lengths to which nations will go to protect their secrets. As we reflect on the legacy of the K-19 and its crew, let us remember not only the horror of their experience, but also the courage they displayed in the face of adversity. For in their struggle to survive, they remind us of the importance of human resilience and the need for peace in our world. For more dramatic videos like this one, stay tuned.